Today's podcast is brought to you by Inverted Gear. Go to invertedgear.com for all your jiu-jitsu gear needs. Type in the coupon code showtheART15 and save some good money. Our next sponsor is Chimera Coffee. Go to chimeracoffee.com, Chimera Coffee with a K, and purchase some of their coffee. They infuse their coffee with nootropics. They're basically things that help your brain operate faster. Google it. It'll help you out. Type in the coupon code showtheART and you will save, I think 15%, something. It's a surprise. Go, plug in showtheART coupon code, and save some money. And enjoy. JT Torres, world champion, jiu-jitsu athlete. How are you? Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm excellent, man. It's a long time. I feel like I've known you, but not really known you. We've met a bunch of times at seminars that you've done on the East Coast, but it's good to hear from you. It's good to have you on our show, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on the show today.
For sure, man. Now, there's big news coming out from you, right? You're moving from San Diego to the East Coast, and you were from the East Coast, right? Can you give us a little background on that?
Yeah. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. I was just saying, can you give us a little background on where you grew up?
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in New York. I was born in the Bronx. I lived there until I was probably around 11, 12 years old, and then I moved with my family to Rockland County, New York. And from there, my parents actually split, and my dad ended up moving to northern New Jersey when I was entering high school. So I split a lot of my time between New York and New Jersey, and I spent the majority of my life here on the East Coast, and it wasn't until 3.5 years ago when I moved out to San Diego, and that's where I spent the last 3.5 years.
Training with Atos, right?
Yeah, training with Professor Andre Galvao at Atos HQ out there in San Diego, and it was a great experience out there. Real good experience.
Awesome. So what led you to want to come back home, really, come back to where you grew up?
There were a couple of things that really led me to come back. I would say one of the biggest things was family. I'm really close with my family, and my girlfriend actually moved out from the East Coast to the West Coast with me, and her family's from the East Coast as well. So, our families were all out here. And we're both close with their family. So, after a couple of years away from them, we're like, all right, it's time to go back home. And then number two is like, I think only people from the East Coast will understand this, but I just find myself missing the East Coast, like the speed of it, all 4 seasons. There's always something going on. Being near New York City, where sometimes I found myself in San Diego, not knowing what to do because everything's really laid back and real slow pace. So I would say those are the 2 major things that really led me back to the East Coast.
Nice. First of all, that's a good girlfriend. She's moving with you and then moving back. Man.
Yeah. I mean, and the way we moved out was it was kind of crazy because I remember I came to her one night and I said, hey, I'm thinking about going to California. And when I was telling her that, I already bought my one-way ticket. And I just wanted to see her reaction. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about moving to California. And she was like, well, when do you think of moving? I'm like, well, I actually bought my ticket. I'm leaving in 2 days. She was like, what? And I said, I gave her the option. Said, listen, I know you got stuff going on over here, but you're more than welcome to come with me. I would love for you to come with me. And she was like, all right, let's do this. And she dropped everything and came with me. So I was like, okay, wow. She's a good girl. She's a keeper.
Nice, man. What was her facial reaction when you dropped that bomb on her?
Oh man, she was shocked and she was angry, and I just blindsided her with that information. Sure. But she was also excited to get out of the East Coast and experience something new. But my timing wasn't the best, and she wasn't too happy with that. But it all worked out.
Sure. I mean, it's not like it's different if you would have been like, yeah, I'm thinking of moving in a month or 2, but you kind of wanted to get out of there quickly. So that was the biggest kind of shock, right?
Yeah. It was just the speed of it. Everything was moving so fast. And, that's what really took it by surprise.
Nice, man. And I wanted to touch on your second reason. We can't explain it, man. I live in New Jersey. I live in North Jersey.
Okay.
I love being in this area. Like, there's something, I hate winter, but I love when it's winter, and I hate the summer, but I love when it's the summer. Like, you know, there's something about the 4 seasons that make you appreciate the other seasons. And then also, I feel like it makes me love going on vacation like that much more.
Oh yeah, man. I totally agree with you. And you know, that's one thing I've always said, man. I said the same thing that you're just saying. There's just something about being all 4 seasons where you hate it, but at the same time you love it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, living in San Diego the last couple of years, the weather is always the same, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't mind a little change here and there. And just like you said, I think you brought up a really good point where, you know, a place like San Diego, the weather's about 75 degrees all year round. So it's just, you know, any other day for anybody else. But, you know, over here in the East, when we just experienced a harsh winter, we're looking forward to those hot, humid days.
Yeah.
You know, like we're excited. And when those days come, we enjoy them, even though we're sweating, but we enjoy them. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the fall, actually. I haven't seen the fall in a couple of years, so I'm excited to see some leaves turning colors and some pumpkins and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like October, like the Halloween time, this is the best area for it. Like New Jersey is perfect for that.
Yeah.
So many trees. And
yeah.
But yeah, man, and what my third reason for you moving out is that everyone on the East Coast gets to have another high caliber guy to train with. Especially you, like you've been competing at a high level for a while, and you're still young, and you're exciting to watch. And a lot of people know you from here and have met you. So it's fun when we get one of ours back, and now you're back on the East Coast representing.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I've always said, man, you know, I was born and raised in New York, but I've always said that my grappling skills, you know, were really developed in New Jersey, man. I'm a New Jersey grappler is what I call myself. So, you know, I'm excited to be back, man. And like you said, man, I've built a good following over here, a good fan base, a lot of people who are just good friends of mine and people who just enjoy watching me compete and people who I've trained with, actually, you know, a long time ago who've helped me start from the very beginning since I was a white belt, blue belt, purple and brown. So it's good to be back home and near the people that made me who I am today, who helped me get to the level that I am today. So I'm excited to be back, man.
Yeah, nice, man. And for those who don't know your background, can you explain a little bit about your martial arts background and maybe some of the people you trained with in New Jersey and New York when you first started coming up? Yeah,
absolutely, man. So, you know, so I started off, the first thing I ever did was wrestling. I started off with wrestling in New York, and it was actually with wrestling and karate. So around the same time, my mom signed me up for a karate class that my cousin was actually doing. So I saw my cousin doing it. I was like, oh, I want to do karate too. So they signed me up. And the karate instructor was this guy named Peter Clemente. And he was a good guy, real good instructor. But he was always really into like the MMA and expanding your knowledge. So he always pushed us to do different things. So he's the one who helped me sign up and find like a wrestling club in New York. And I signed up, and every weekend I was somewhere in upstate New York, somewhere in New Jersey, wrestling in a tournament. My dad would drive me up and down. And at the same time, I didn't know this yet, but my karate instructor was also studying jiu-jitsu under Hoist Gracie, actually.
Nice.
And he had like a little Hoist Gracie affiliation within his karate dojo, and he was only teaching jiu-jitsu once a week at the time, and he was a blue belt.
Okay.
And but like I said, I never even knew about jiu-jitsu, and I was never interested in the jiu-jitsu class. I just wanted to do karate and then wrestling at the time. But, you know, one good thing about my karate instructor as well was he would always like kind of implement a little bit of jiu-jitsu techniques in his karate classes, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, so let's fast forward like a couple of years. I'll say 4 years. I was about 14 years old, and I actually got my black belt in karate and about to go into high school. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do karate anymore. I don't think it's cool. You know, I'm about to go into high school. I don't think it's cool. I don't want to do karate.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad was always very into, you know, staying in shape and fitness and stuff like that. So he always pushed me to do something, to stay active. And, so I went to high school, and my dream was to play basketball. Right? I love basketball.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm not the tallest guy in the world. So I didn't make the team in high school. So I was kind of just doing nothing. And my dad was like, listen, why don't you go back to the karate dojo and keep doing some martial arts? I was like, you know what? Let me try the jiu-jitsu class he has. Let me see what that's about. And I gave that jiu-jitsu class once a week a try. And, you know, sure enough, I loved it, man. I was like, whoa, this is some good stuff here. You know, it's like, I was amazed from it from the very beginning. I was like, I've never done anything like this. You know, like I said, I wrestled and I did karate, but I was like, man, these different chokes and transitions and arm locks. I was like, this is it, man. Yeah. So from there on, I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, man, and I took it as far as I could go, and here I am today, man, talking with you.
Yeah, man. Now, let me ask you a question about wrestling into jiu-jitsu, because I've never been on a wrestling team. I never formally learned like wrestling as a sport. So I don't know how it feels to compare the two, but from someone that trained wrestling first and then got introduced to jiu-jitsu, how did it feel? What was the transition? What did it feel like to move around with the goal being changed? A lot of the things are like, it's the same idea. You're fighting on the ground with no punches or kicks, but what was that transition like for you?
You know, the transition was actually pretty easy for me. And I think it has to do with, you know, how involved I was with wrestling. So, when I started wrestling, it was through a wrestling mat club. So which I would go to twice a week, three times a week, I think it was. And then I would wrestle in a tournament every weekend. So I was going enough to develop a strong, very basic knowledge of wrestling. Okay. So when I got into jiu-jitsu, it wasn't like I was a full-blown wrestler, or how some guys, you know, they've wrestled for years. They wrestled high school, college, and then they try to come to jiu-jitsu and they have some bad habits that they got to change. Oh. But for me, I was young enough where when I came into jiu-jitsu, I just had a basic understanding of wrestling, a solid basic base of the art. And, you know, I was still young enough. You know, when you're young, you're like a sponge. So when I got into jiu-jitsu, they told me not to do A and B and C. And I was like, okay, not a problem. And so it was a pretty easy transition for me. But now, that being said, if it was the other way around, where if I wrestled, you know, high school, college, I think it would have been a little bit tougher for me to transition. But I think I was lucky enough because of my age and because of how involved I was with wrestling.
Okay, good point. That's good to know because, you know, also we run a jiu-jitsu school here, and sometimes you do get the occasional wrestler or somebody from a different martial art. Yeah. It's good to know that, like, when they've been doing it for a long time, it is hard to get these habits out. They're not bad habits in wrestling, but those wrestling habits can be bad habits in jiu-jitsu, of course. We all know that.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So moving on to, you want to open up your own academy. Is that correct? Is that your goal?
Yeah, that's right, man. That's right. So that's, you know, I said there was 2 reasons why I moved back. I would say there should be 3 reasons. The third reason was to move back to the hometown where, like I said, I came up as a jiu-jitsu player, because I want to open my own academy out here, man. Ever since I started jiu-jitsu, I always envisioned that for myself. I'm like, oh, one day I'm going to have my own gym. And, you know, I feel like I'm in the perfect spot in my life to do that now, you know, where I'm still young enough, but, you know, I've had a lot of experience competing. So I feel like I'm ready to take that next step and open up the academy, man. And I'm looking to open up actually in New Jersey. So nice. It's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and I don't mean this question to disrespect you at all, but what makes you feel you're ready to open up a school? Not that you're not ready, but what makes you feel like you are ready? Like, all right, now it's time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great question. You know, just the experience alone, when I look back of what I've done this last 10 years, you know, I've traveled all over the world. I've been on top of the podium, either, you know, in first place, second or third of every major tournament as a black belt, gi and no-gi. Like I said, I've taught countless seminars all around the globe. I've made crazy amount of new friends everywhere. And I just feel like I've had enough experience under my belt where I feel comfortable enough to become a sensei, a teacher, a coach, you know, where I can pass off the information that I have gained into a new student and develop them to become as great as they want to be. Yeah. I just feel like now I have a comfort level where I'm able to do that. You know, before maybe 5 years ago, I was like, well, you know, I think there's still a little bit more for me to do and see around the world and compete and learn. But now I feel I'm in a perfect spot, knowledge-wise, and even age. You know, I'm actually turning 27 September 2nd tomorrow. So
nice, man! Happy birthday!
yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah. So I feel like it's a perfect time, man.
Nice, man. I actually just turned 27 3 weeks ago, so we're like the
Oh,
same age.
happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday.
So it's funny when you talk about you're ready to open up your own school and because of all the experiences, it sounds like people who talk about having a kid, like they're finally ready to have a kid. Oh, we traveled the world, we did what we wanted to do. Now we're ready to settle down. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly. And I did a lot of babysitting, and what I mean by that is like, I've been teaching a lot of classes, and for example, over in San Diego, I've been leading the kids program for 3 years. So, just how someone would babysit a kid for years and be like, okay, I think I'm ready to have a kid.
Yeah.
So kind of the same thing for me. I've been teaching classes and helping, Professor Andre Galvao run the school. And actually, I'm very lucky too, because my girlfriend was the manager of the gym out there for 3 years.
Oh, dope.
So she got a lot of experience on that end. And so, just going back to what I said, I just think it's the perfect time to do it, gain some good knowledge. And, I got a glimpse into what I'm going to get myself into.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to take that dive, man.
Awesome, man. Now, how will you be able to balance training and being a full-time owner / coach to, how many different students? In the beginning, it might not be a lot, but within a year, someone like you can gain 300, 400 students very quickly, especially someone with the podium experience that you have, and someone who's you're a nice guy, you're a good guy. You come off as a good guy. There's never anything like. I feel like there's no negativity attached to your name, which helps a lot.
Thank you, man.
And you're a great instructor, so I feel like you're going to gain a lot of students quickly. How will you be able to balance pro competition and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's a awesome question. I've gotten that question a couple of times too, and it's something I've thought about myself. To myself, like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to balance everything out? And I think one major thing is, like anything we do in life, it's going to be hard for us to do it by ourselves. But if you have a team behind you, it can be done. So, I have, when it comes to things like training, competing and stuff like that, I have no ego. And it's going to come same thing for my business. Like I'm willing to learn from anybody, anyone who wants to come and give me some advice. I'm open ears. So I want to build a strong team around me. I want to bring in instructors with me. I want to bring in someone to help me run the business, like my girlfriend. And, I have my family over here who can help me run things and just keep things going smoothly. And now as far as balancing, the business and being a coach, that's absolutely a tough thing to do without a doubt. But it could be done, just seeing how Andre Galvao did it out in San Diego. I learned a lot from him, just watching him, how he operated. And, it's just a lot of hard work, but anything worth having in life, requires hard work. And, I've been working hard, my whole grappling career. So that same mindset I had when I was competing full time, I'm going to bring it into here and balance everything out, where I'm going to focus on my students. When I focus on my students, I'm going to make them drill techniques and stuff like that. But when you do that, I feel you remind yourself sometimes of techniques that you wouldn't really think about if you weren't teaching, and I found that to be true when I was teaching kids classes in San Diego. I was teaching a lot. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this technique, or I forgot about this detail. So I think being an instructor sometimes helps you become more technical. Powerful. And, and just patience too. Patience. That's one thing I have. And that's one thing that I think you need to have in a business like running a jiu-jitsu academy, because I know that within a couple of years, I'll be able to build a strong staff, some good students that can help me and push me in training, and who can even help me teach classes one day. Yeah. So, I'm in it for the long haul, and just patience and building up a strong program that can support itself. Nice, man. Now, who are some of your mentors as far as this endeavor? Yeah. And also, I want to ask a quick question. You could touch on it quickly. How involved is Andre Galvao in his school? Like, we don't know, because, I don't go there. Most people don't train there. Most people don't know him personally. So how involved is he with teaching and running his academy? You know what, man? He's very involved. And, that was one of the most impressive things I took, into account. I was like, wow, because, sometimes you hear about all these, jiu-jitsu academies that have, that are led by, ex-world champion.
Yeah, and they're never there.
And sometimes you go there and they're not even there. You know, you got a random guy teaching, which, you know, it's not a bad thing, but, you know, sometimes people come to that academy to learn from a certain somebody.
Yes.
And that person's off doing something else. But so when I came over to San Diego, that's the one thing that I really liked was that Professor Andre was on the mats every day with the students.
Nice.
You know, every day. And he will come in, teach the kids classes sometimes. He'll come in, teach the white belts sometimes. But he was there for the, you know, the more advanced students, the competition class, the morning classes. And then, of course, he had his instructors for, you know, like myself for the kids and, you know, another black belt or two for the white belts. But he will always make sure he will go around, make his rounds to every class and be involved with every student that will walk in through that door. And, you know, that's one thing that I think is super important and into running a business like this. You know, you have to be there for the students. You have to, because, you know, that's what they're there for. They're there to learn from you and to become a better martial artist. So,
absolutely.
Andre's he's very involved with the students, man. And on the business side of it, you know, like I was saying, you got to build a good team. You know, he had people like my girlfriend, his wife. He had this other guy over there too. His name was Carlos, and he had a good staff to help him run the gym, you know? So, that's something that I really saw and took away from that experience of me being over in San Diego. So, yeah, he's very involved, man.
And who are some of your mentors in the game?
And as far as jiu-jitsu players?
As far as what we're talking about now, jiu-jitsu and, you know, or business owners, that kind of deal.
Right. I mean, I would say on top of the list, it has to be, you know, Andre himself. Like I said, just because I had the honor and the pleasure and the opportunity to work, you know, right next to him, side by side with him.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, I took a lot away from him. And, you know, another guy is Marcelo Garcia. You know, he runs one of the most successful academies in the world, and he's building great champions. And along with that, you know, right now, I know he retired now, but when he first opened the academy, I know he still won ADCC and another world title.
Yeah. So
that's another guy that I look up to. Like, you know, if they can do it, you know, I can do it. And I try to mimic those guys and I try to learn from those guys. And, yeah, those are two guys that I really look up to, you know, two guys as mentors.
Nice. Now, I wanted to ask you about when you first got to San Diego, because you left quickly. Like you said, the wheels were turning quickly. How did you, maybe not how, but what made you go to train with Andre, and how did that transition work out? Like, how did that conspire? How did he bring you in? How did he accept you as a student? And how did you get so involved in his academy?
Yeah. So when I first was making the decision to move and go train to California, to be honest with you, I wasn't even going to go to California. My idea was to stay in New York and possibly end up training with Marcelo Garcia. That's what was my first thought process.
Okay.
And Keenan Cornelius, he had family in California. So when we were leaving the East Coast, when he was leaving the East Coast, he was going straight to California regardless. And he was asking me, like, hey, JT, where do you think I should train when I move back to California? I was like, man, if I was going to move to California, I would train with Andre Galvao. And he was like, okay, cool. I'll check it out. And, you know, he went out there, he trained, and like a couple of days later, he was like, man, the training is awesome over here, this and that. And I said, oh, man, that's cool. I'm happy for you. And he was like, you know what? Why don't you move out here? And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do that. I'm broke. I don't got any money. I don't know. I don't know if I can afford to get out there. And he was like, man, do it. We'll figure it out when you get out here. And I was like, I don't know. And I kind of just, you know, pushed the idea aside. But then it sat in my mind for like the next 2-3 days. I was like, man, I've always wanted to go to California. I always wanted to live there. And Andre Galvao is someone I've been watching since I was a white belt, and white belt, blue belt, someone that I've always tried to mimic my game after. So I said, you know what? At the time I was 22, 23. And I said, you know what? You know, I don't really have any responsibilities holding me back. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. So I contacted Andre, and I think I wrote him a message on Facebook, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about moving to California. Would it be cool if I could come train with you? Here's my cell phone. Hopefully you can give me a call. If not, it's okay. And I left it at that. And then the next day I got a phone call, and I saw the caller ID was from California. I was like, oh. So I picked up, and it was, sure enough, it was Andre Galvao. I was like, hey, this is Andre. I was like, what? I couldn't believe Andre Galvao was calling me, you know?
Wow.
And he was like, hey, man, I would love to have you out here. You know, it would be awesome if you came out and trained. You're more than welcome to come out and train. I was like, well, I'm coming out then. And
awesome.
I bought an airplane ticket, and I told my girlfriend the next day.
Holy crap.
And yeah, man. And I packed a suitcase. I packed like 2 Ds, a couple clothes, a one-way ticket. And I had, I think I had a couple $100 in my pocket, to my name really. And I had no plan, man. I had no plan when I moved out there. I just got on the plane, and I was like, all right, I'm going to figure it out.
Sure.
And I landed over there. Actually, Mike Liera ended up picking me up from the airport, and he took me straight to the academy. And, I got to meet Andre and all that. And I ended up staying on someone's floor that night. I got to sleep in someone's living room, and that's how we figured it out. And I took it from there. And, thank God everything worked out, man. It worked out well for me over there.
Awesome, man. That's great to hear, man. Because I was always wondering what that, because I remember when you first moved out there, it was so abrupt. There was no warning, and
yeah.
Everybody wanted to know, these fun little stories are good to hear. Now, my next question was, how did you get involved with his school? Like, you became a student, he accepted you, he called you up. That's pretty awesome. And then how did you get involved with teaching there and being more than just a student?
I think just building a relationship with Andre is what really helped me. When I got out there, the person that you guys see, the person who you're talking to is the person who I really am. I'm a friendly guy. Like I said, I try not to have any problems with anybody. I try to get along with everybody, and I'm there to help anybody who wants to be helped, and I'm there to train with anybody. I'm there to teach anybody. I'm also there to learn. So I think Andre saw that, and he saw that I could be, someone that he can use to help him and in his academy and the other students as well. So he also saw that my level of jiu-jitsu was a high level. When I got out there, he said, okay, this guy's obviously got some good jiu-jitsu, and this guy seems like a great guy. And from there, we just, like I said, we built a relationship. We became, student teacher, but we also became friends as well. And he asked me maybe about, I would say 6-8 months into me being there, he was like, hey, would you be interested in teaching and helping me, lead the kids program here? And I said, absolutely. I would love to do that. And from there, he gave me, a couple of days a week to help him teach the kids. And from there, he put me in charge of the kids program 100%.
Nice.
And then from there, he would have me cover classes, like the advanced classes, the competition classes. And from there, we just built a strong relationship, and trust was one of the biggest things too. And, it became so strong that I had knee surgery maybe about a year ago now.
Yeah.
And he was getting ready to fight in the Baruch Challenge. He was going to fight Hamelo. And he came to me, he goes, can you be my coach for this event? He trained me for these next 2.5 months. And I was kind of taken aback. I was like, you want me to train you? Like, you want me to coach you?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, can you be my coach for these next 2 months? I want you to be the head guy on the mat right now. And you run the training. You set up the training. I was like, all right, man, let's do it. And, I was, like I said, taken aback. I was amazed that this guy, Andre Galvao, someone that I've watched since I was a white belt. He was already a world champion as a black belt when I first started training. And he's asking me to coach him now. I was like, wow. I said, yes, absolutely, man. And, I ran a great camp for him. I think it was Flow Grappling, captured some moments. They did a cool little video on it.
Yeah. And
a lot of people were like, wow, man, JT, you could really coach, man. You're a good coach. And when I started getting that good response from people, I was like, you know what, man? That's when I started feeling more comfortable towards opening my own gym. I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. And, Andre went in to Baru. He won his super fight, and, everything was great, man. So, yeah, it was all about building a strong relationship, a good friendship and trust between the two of us. And that's what really that's why he really brought me in onto the staff, helping him teach and becoming one of the leaders on the team.
Nice, man. Wow. That's pretty awesome. That shows a lot about who you are. If, like you said, a legend is asking you to run training while he's preparing for a tournament. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
What are some of the things you guys did specifically? Because you were the one running it. So you had to run like what you guys did in training that day? Like, all right, we're going to drill this or we're going to do that?
Yeah, exactly, man. So like I was the one deciding like, okay, today's training's going to be just rounds, or today's training's going to be just specific sparring from positions. So, what I was doing a lot was I knew Romulo's game was very guard based. He's amazing guard, one of the best guards in the world. So what we had him doing was doing a lot of specific training, starting with someone like Keenan on his back. So Keenan would start on his back, and his goal was to try to pass the guard in 45 seconds, have him do blitz, and then rest for 30 seconds and do it again. So things like that, a lot of specific things towards that opponent. So, which I think is what separates a good coach from a great coach, being able to know what your athlete needs to do in order to win. So, those are the kind of things we did, man. A lot of sparring, a lot of specific sparring, a lot of specific drilling, certain techniques, takedowns, guard passing. And we just based it off that, off Romulo's game. And that's how I structured his camp, what he would do on certain days. I will also communicate with him, like, how do you feel today? How's your body feel? Yeah. Do you need to tone it back a little bit? Can you go? How do you sleep? Have you been eating well? How's your weight?
Nice.
Things like that. All of that stuff I took into account to make a strong program for him.
And you were holding him accountable for things. He needed somebody to say, hey, let's go, we got to train, or hey, back it off a little bit, or hey, we're going to do this.
Oh, 100%, man.
Nice.
100%.
Now, let me ask you about your training, because everybody wants to know, what are the champions doing? And one thing that I keep hearing from talking to all the champions, really, is everybody keeps saying that at this point, it's not so much about drilling, it's about positional sparring. Do you agree with that? Is that something that you focus a lot on? Yeah,
absolutely, man. I mean, nowadays, I think now more than ever, jiu-jitsu is super technical, man. Like, if you look at jiu-jitsu 10 years ago and look at jiu-jitsu now, there's probably like another million techniques that have just been added this past year, you know? It's crazy. Jiu-jitsu is getting so in-depth, man. So I think specific drilling and sparring is key, is a major key into becoming a champion, man. It really is, because once you get comfortable in certain positions, the other person might have 10 other techniques from there. So I think when you start sparring from those certain positions, you start learning more about that area, and you start learning different transitions and techniques and submissions you can hit from there. Where if you just sparred, you'll still get good training. But I think you need to find a good balance between just full-on sparring and sparring in those specific positions, because they definitely help 100%.
Yeah, and I feel like with positional sparring, because we've been doing a lot of it lately, but I feel like with positional sparring, just the fact that you get another chance and you keep getting retries in that position when one thing fails. But when you go for a regular sparring round, let's say we just put the clock on for 10 minutes and go, you might not wind up in half guard again, or you might not wind up in that position you want to work. But if it's positional rounds, pass or fail, you're going to get another shot, and you're going to get a bunch of other shots to retry. Oh, yeah. Right? That's powerful.
Oh, yeah, man. It's huge, man. And I think another thing that people don't sometimes think about, there's less injuries too, where if you just spar every day, more than likely you're going to find yourself getting injured somewhere, even if it's just hurting your finger, your knee, twisting your ankle, something's going to happen. But when you balance that out between specific sparring, I think there tends to be less injuries, which is, another major thing for a competitor. If you get injured more, it's not good. If you get injured less, it's better.
Yeah, no, I didn't even think of that. That makes total sense, because you're getting like positive training in a specific area against a resisting opponent, but also you're taking the risk out of it, because the risk really happens in the transitional periods, right? Like when we're going from half guard to the mount or to whatever, that's when the injuries happen, not in like battling half guard, or whatever it is.
I totally agree, man. Like like you said, if you're trying to battle to get to the mount, you're scrambling and things are everywhere. So that's when you can get injured. But let's say you start training from the mount already. You're already secure in a position where there's not going to be so much more movement.
Yeah. Now, when you got, let's say let's say we started from the mount. Are you guys doing it like escape win, submission win? So if I get out of the mount and I recover half guard or close guard, I win, you go out, next person comes in, or how are you guys doing it?
Yeah, well, so that's how we would do it. You gotta try to maintain position there, right? We'll do two different ways. Like, so one way would be like once you escape or once I submit you, it's done. Then we restart in the same position, right?
Yeah.
But if you escape, we restart. Now, there's another way that we would do it too, that we start on the mount and maybe there's only a minute on the clock. And if you escape the mount within 10 seconds, we're still going live though. So we still continue going. So there would be two different ways that we would do it, but they're both really good for training.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We've been doing a lot of positional rounds just because I've been talking to guys like you, and everybody's been saying positional sparring, do it. And I feel like it's been helping me a lot. It's been helping the other students a lot, getting comfortable in these positions and getting comfortable being in the bad positions and like keeping your cool and escaping. Yeah,
that's another thing, man, that people overlook too. You got to start in those bad positions and work your way out of it and get comfortable being in those bad positions because if you're a competitor and you go out there and compete one day and you freak out because you're like, whoa, what do I do here? And then, that's the difference between going home the first round and a gold medal.
Yeah. It's like, cause you never get mounted. You're that good in the gym against your training partners. You never get mounted. And then you get in the tournament. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Let's say you're the king of the room, right?
Yeah.
And you're never in bad positions. You're just crushing everybody. And then you go to a tournament and you get your guard pass and you get mounted. If you're not familiar in that position, it's not going to be a good day for you.
Yeah. That's 4 points lost. You might not ever get it back.
Yeah, exactly, man.
What if in your positional sparring, all right, we're going to start from close guard and I'm going to start a sweep. You're going to let me do the sweep on you. But as soon as the sweep is complete, we go live. So like I'm going to do a scissor sweep to the mount. You're going to let me do it. But as soon as your back hits the mat, boom, we go live, we fight. And then we do positional from there. Do you ever do something like that? Would that make sense?
You know what, Ben? I have done things like that, and I think that is, it's a great tool to use in training. I've done things like that, like let's say, for example, I've done it in Nogi where we start in a double leg, right?
Okay.
And we say, okay, once I finish the double leg, we're on.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a good tool for grapplers to use because, one thing is finishing the double leg and another thing is stabilizing the double leg once the person hits the mat, right?
Yeah.
Because I might have the nicest double leg finish in the world, but if I don't know how to hold you down for 3 seconds, I'm never going to get those 2 points.
Sure.
Or I'm never going to get the top position, right?
Sure.
So that reaction of the person defending is key for us to learn how to deal with it and how to counter their reaction to our techniques, whether it be a sweep or a takedown. So I think that's a valuable tool to use in training. I like that, man. I like that. I like it a lot.
Take it. You could take it. That's mine. You could take it.
Thanks, man. I'm going to use that tonight, man. I'm going to try to find some training and use that.
Nice, man. Yeah, I guess what I keep getting from guys like you, the world champions of the world, they're saying just exhaust all options. Try everything, see what sticks on the wall for you, and then take that route. Now, do you still drill a lot, or are you not drilling as much?
Oh, no, I drill a lot, man, and I'm going to start drilling even more now that I'm going to open my academy because, drilling is key, man. There's a lot of keys to becoming the best grappler you can become. But if you want to become a better jiu-jitsu player, you got to drill. And, even in San Diego, I was drilling maybe, I would say 2 hours a day.
Okay.
2 hours a day, every day, man. I'll be on the mats working on technique. So you got to do it. And, for me going to open an academy, I know maybe at first I won't have a lot of high level training partners to roll with, but I can keep my technique sharp by drilling them. So that's why drilling it's good, man. It just keeps you sharp. It keeps your timing well. And you don't need another high level partner to help you drill,
Yeah.
And, let's say, and it helps your students too, because let's say I grab one of my students, like, hey, let me drill a couple techniques on you. Then they're also learning too, like, okay, now I see how you drill that technique and they get a better idea on how to do it. That's how you get everyone better at the same time.
So true, man. how do you remember what techniques? Like, I feel like sometimes the problem, and I see it from myself, but more so with the students, it's like they'll drill a technique a bunch of times, and then they won't pull it off when they're grappling, right? And then you ask them, oh, how come you didn't try it? And they say, literally, I just forgot. How do you remember to try the techniques that you've been drilling in your rolls?
Okay. I mean, so what I would do and what I do is I give myself a mission every time I train, right? So if there's a technique I've been drilling and I need to know and need to have in my game for, let's say for a championship coming up or something like that, then what I would do, let's say I drill, because I would usually drill like an hour before the competition training. So I would drill, and let's say I drill A and B. Now, when I go into that sparring session, I tell myself, all I'm looking for today is A and B. And I'll go for it over and over again in that training session. Now, whether it will get me into bad positions or whether I would miss it, but I will still go for it. Because eventually, once you hit it once, you're going to hit it again.
Yeah.
So that's how it all starts. Once you hit it once, you're going to start building confidence on it. And then you see the timing on it and you see where to get it. So that's all you got to do. Once you get that one technique you're looking for, then you're going to start building that confidence behind it. And then it's, then the water is going to run free there. You're going to be flowing like water at that point. So,
how often
that's what I do.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, going off that, how often do you balance experimenting and trying new things with A-game stuff?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So right now, when I drill, it's all new stuff that I'm drilling. I'm experimenting right now because right now it's not the competition season in my eyes. In my mind, right now it's kind of the down season. The competition season for me is really between, I would say, December and June. That's when you have all your major gi tournaments and things like that.
Yeah.
So right now I'm trying new things, new things that I want to work on for the next season, new things I want to have for the next world championships next year.
Okay.
So right now I'm just trying new things, things that I see either from a match I saw on YouTube or from, a Gracie magazine or, from your guys' Instagram, which I learn a lot from too, by the way. You guys have a sick Instagram. Appreciate that, guys.
Thanks,
really
man.
do.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, man. No, I really do learn a lot from your guys' page, man. So, thank you.
For sure.
So, things like that, so I start adding to my game. Now, when it comes time to get ready and really lock down for the big tournament, I'm working on my A, B, and C game and just those techniques because, I'm at a certain level where I feel I have my game already and I know what I'm good at and what I need to work on to make my game better. So those are the things I focus on during the comp season.
Okay. So that's just how it works out. When you're preparing for a tournament, that's when we're honing in. When you're not preparing for a tournament, that's when we're learning. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I feel like for me personally, I struggle with that. I guess because I don't compete often, so I don't have this major goal to look forward to. So I feel like I get stuck in the experimentation phase all the time where I'm rolling and I'm just trying new things and I'm looking for new transitions and like I'm exposing myself maybe a little too much. And maybe I'm not focusing enough time on like A-game work.
Right.
For someone who's not preparing for a tournament, how often do you think I should, like how many rolls should I be worrying about? A-game and experimentation, like 50-50 or?
For someone like you, for example, you're a guy who likes to go in and train and have fun and I have fun too, but like you say, you don't have this, big, competition that you're looking forward to most of the time like I am.
Yeah.
So what I would do if I was someone like you is I would probably go 60-40. So I'll go 60% working on the games to improve your game or on the techniques to improve your game. And then the other 40% is just stuff that you want to experiment with. Okay. So I think that's a really good balance. This way you're always constantly improving your game and giving yourself confidence because, let's be honest. If you're going into training and you're getting crushed every day, usually your confidence is not going to be too high.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you go in there and you start working on different things and experimenting with different techniques you saw, and they're not working out well for you, sometimes people can get discouraged that way. And these are things I'm thinking about now that I'm going to be, having my students and things like that. So if what I would tell to my students who just want to improve and become a black belt one day, I would say, focus on the things that work well for you and for your body type and for your game. And I would pay most attention to that. I would say 60%, but leave 40% of your time to, play with new different things. So if you had 10 rolls in a night, 6 of those rolls, you're going for your A, B, and C game. And then the other 4 rolls, work around. Try a new position you're not used to.
Okay. Thanks, man. That's great advice. I needed that.
Yeah. No problem, man. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. For the education.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I could speak from experience because I teach kids as well. I feel like it's so rewarding teaching kids. What do you feel like you get out of teaching kids classes?
Man, it's rewarding. It really is. I always found it amazing what these kids can do, man. Like, they constantly, they amaze me, man, every time I see them train. And what really gets me is when I teach a technique and I see the kids hitting the techniques, whether it be in competition or in training, and I'm like, wow, man, they're really paying attention and really learning from me. Yeah. So, it gives me this sense of like an accomplishment, almost like I've won a tournament, to be honest with you. Like when I see the kids succeed and I see them, let's say win a gold medal, I feel like I won a gold medal too. So it's super rewarding, man. It really is. And it just, validates what I'm doing. Sure. This is what I love to do. And, of course I love to get gold medals and win and travel. But I also love to see people succeeding and me helping them do that. It's an amazing feeling, man, doing something positive for the world and for the people. Nice,
man. Yeah. Teaching kids is so important. And I feel like when you're at a point in your life where you feel like you can settle down with competing a lot, or you feel like you have time, it's so important to teach kids. It's so important to be like a positive role model to kids, because they're either going to be coming in and training with you, or if they're not, they might be on the basketball team, or they might be in the streets getting into trouble. So we want to be a positive role model to these kids.
It's true, man. It's true. And that's another thing too, besides the jiu-jitsu aspect of it, just seeing these kids become, confident people, confident young adults. I always say they come in as kids and they leave as young adults. So, that's another rewarding thing too, man. Seeing these kids when I've had a couple kids come in, they're super shy and they're like, oh, I don't know. And, 3-6 months later, they're the most confident kid you talk to. They'll look you right in the eye when they speak with you. Yes, sir. No, sir. Very respectful. So martial arts is just a great thing for kids, man. And, I'm just blessed to be able to, pass on martial arts to the kids, man. I really am.
For sure, man. Now let's get into some dicey, some interesting arguments that have been going on lately, and it revolves around competition and the type of tournaments that are going on. Right, the big debate now is gi versus no-gi versus no-gi sub only versus this versus that. Who's the best? All this nonsense. What do you feel like is the key to being the absolute best jiu-jitsu player ever? Can you accomplish that by just doing gi? Can you accomplish that by just doing no-gi? Can you accomplish that by doing this or that? Or do you have to do everything? Like, what do you think is the recipe to being not only the best in your town, but the best of all time?
I think if you're just a gi player, you can't be the best in the world. If you're just a no-gi player, you can't be the best in the world. You just can't. In my opinion, to be the best jiu-jitsu player, the best grappler, you gotta be able to do gi and no-gi and do well. Obviously do well at both of them. Yeah. Guys, in my opinion, that are the best in the world. Guys like Andre Galvao, guys like Marcelo Garcia. Those guys have dominated the world of gi and no-gi.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, that's what you got to do. If you really want the title of being the best guy in the world or girl in the world, you have to do gi and no-gi. This is my opinion, but I feel strongly about that because I know there's a lot of competitors out there who just compete with the gi, and then I'm the best in the world. Well, try no-gi and see how you do, and then vice versa. There's a lot of guys out there who just compete no-gi, and And they said, well, we're the best grapplers in the world. Well, I don't think you are. Let's see how you do with the gi on too.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's where Nogi really came from, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So at the end of the day, it's all the same thing to me, really, in my opinion. But you got to be able to put on with both gi and no-gi.
Yeah, you got to be able to handle both realms, because it matters. I mean, like you said, do the traditional form and do the non-traditional form. I feel like, what is your opinion on this? I feel like also, if you want to be considered like the best competitor in the world or at that time, I feel like you have to compete in more different realms of competition. Like you can't just do IBJJF gi tournaments or no-gi tournaments. You got to be able to do the no time limit matches. You got to be able to do the sub only matches. If you're a guy that's winning IBJJF Worlds or Pan Ams or medaling, and you're the same guy, you're medaling or you're winning an EBI tournament, and then the same guy winning super fights, and then you win ADCC. Maybe that also like means more to being the best, and not just winning the gi worlds and the no-gi world.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I mean, if you're the best grappler in the world, there's no rule. What's the word? Like no rule setting should matter to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you come to me and be like, let's do a no time limit match. Okay. And then if I say, well, let's do a 10-minute match. No 10-minute match. Okay. Well, why not? If you're the best grappler in the world, you should be able to handle me in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? So let's do it in 10 minutes. And vice versa. It goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, if people who think they're truly the best grapplers in the world, I think they should be able to hold their own in any rule set, gi and no gi.
Okay. I agree, man. I think that is the absolute best. To at least call yourself like the king, like there's no arguing Marcelo, because he did it in gi, no gi at different times in different tournaments. Obviously he's from a different era where there wasn't as many like no time limit or sub only competitions, but he won ADCC, he won the gi world, he did it all, he won super fights, and same thing with your professor. Like those guys, it's hard to argue with them because they've won so many different types of tournaments.
And not only did they win, I think that something people forget is that if you watch Marcelo Garcia compete, he submits most of his opponents within minutes.
Yeah,
within minutes. Like people always say, well, he they did this, that, and did that. Yeah, and they also submitted everybody.
Yeah.
Like if you look at someone like Hodger Gracie, there's no way you can argue that guy. That guy submitted everybody, and everybody he fought was an animal.
Yeah.
Those are things that people tend to forget sometimes. You gotta remember that kind of stuff too.
Sure.
So to be the best, I think you gotta be able to fight anybody. Any rule set, gi and no gi.
And I feel like not to make fun of anybody or put anybody down that just does one or the other. To each his own. That's great. If you want to be a master of no-gi, if you want to be a master of gi, if you want to be a master of chokes or a master of leg locks and call yourself that, that's great. That's awesome. Everybody has their own cup of tea. But if you want to start labeling yourself the GOAT, you got to start taking that term more seriously,
I totally agree with you, man. Totally agree with you.
Now, what about the people that argue you got to be able to do all that and be a Demian Maia type character who's winning MMA fights with jiu-jitsu as well? What do you think about that kind of guy?
Man, I think Demian Maia might be the GOAT right now. I think he might be the one in contention for having the GOAT title, man, because I mean, the guy's really getting it done, man. He's done it in gi, he's done it in no gi, and now he's doing it in MMA as well.
Holy crap.
Which, it's not easy. We've seen a lot of, superstar jiu-jitsu players, not do too well in MMA because it's a whole different world, So I think for someone like Demian Maia to be able to, really, showcase how high level his jiu-jitsu is and high level MMA events like the UFC.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing, man. So, like I said, man, I think he might be in the running for the GOAT title.
Do you watch MMA?
I do.
Who are some of your favorite fighters you like to watch right now?
Right now, man, I enjoy watching Conor McGregor, man, just because he's entertaining, man.
Yeah.
I gotta give that guy credit, man. He really does sell this fight. I probably haven't been so excited to watch UFC since Conor McGregor, man. Ever since he came around and with the trash talking and this and that, like, you know, I've been so tuned in and following. So I would say he's probably one of my favorite ones to watch right now.
Nice. The excitement he brought to the game, did that make you want to watch and follow everything now, not just him? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so it kind of re-sparked my interest in watching, you know, MMA events and the UFC and stuff like that, because, you know, when I first started jiu-jitsu, I was watching every UFC.
Yeah.
And there was a couple, I would say 2-3 years where I kind of fell off. I wasn't really watching. I just felt like there was an event every weekend. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I kind of just, you know, I was like, you know, there was a time where I didn't watch any UFC event in I don't know, a year, 2 years. And then when Conor came around and started making some noise, I was like, who is this guy, man? And he was cracking me up, making me laugh.
Yeah.
And then he went out there and knocked out Jose Aldo. And I was like, whoa. You know, I was back on it at that point,
yeah.
You know? Because I honestly thought Jose Aldo was going to kill him,
yeah.
You know, kill him. And when I saw that happen, I was like, whoa, this is crazy, man. And, you know, now I'm right back into the rabbit hole, man. I'm just watching everything and following everything and just enjoying it again.
Yeah, man. He's undeniable. I felt the same way. I thought Aldo was going to take him out. But, you know, he just keeps proving himself. You can't hate him anymore. You know what I'm saying? He just keeps proving himself, and he keeps, you know, backing up what he's saying. And we also can't take his trash talk too seriously. The guy's just trying to make some millions, and he knows that that's the only way he could do it. I bet you if you met him out on the street or at a restaurant or you hung out with him for a day, he'd be a cool guy. But when there's a camera on him, he's got to make money, right? Yeah, you got to sell the fight, man. It's like he says, it's the fight business. So you got to sell it, man. Getting back to you, do you have any idea? Do you have any prospects of where you're going to move to or where you're going to open your academy exactly, or you're still looking for new spaces? I'm still looking for spaces. Actually, I saw a couple of spaces this past week, and I'm still looking. You know, I haven't made a final decision yet. I'm still looking in the northern part of New Jersey. I'm also looking in New York. I was kind of experimenting with the idea of New York City, and then I'm looking on the outskirts of New York as well. Yeah. So I'm still looking around. There's no set location yet, but I'm pretty confident I'm going to have a set location, picked out within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would say. So nice. I'm getting closer. I saw some spots that I liked. I don't want to give away too much. I want to keep it a little surprise for the people. Yeah. But it's going to be either, you know, NYC or Northern New Jersey, man. Okay. So I'm pumped. Now, are you thinking, and you obviously don't have to answer this question, are you thinking on the coastline, like if it is Jersey, it's on the coastline, like how Jersey City and Edgewater and all those little cities are? Yeah. You know, that was one option I was throwing out there. You know, Jersey City has been thrown around a lot, so I do like those locations, man. I like being near the water too, and you know, usually it's kind of more of a fast-paced area too. So, you know, I want to be somewhere where it's happening, where there's a lot of people and a lot of things going on. Yeah. And, you know, I think it fits my personality a little bit better. And, yeah, man. Yeah. So definitely those are some areas I'm looking at, and I'm looking to be in a spot like that. So nice. Hopefully soon, man. Hopefully soon everyone would know. And, you know, just, you know, I'll be posting it on my social media and all that too, as soon as I pick out the spot. And because a lot of people have been asking me, where is it going to be, JT? Where is it going to be? Yeah. And I'm like, I really don't know yet. You know, I'm still looking, but it's going to be in a cool spot. I can promise that, man. I'm going to build something really nice. I'm going to build a world-class facility. That's my vision. I want to build something beautiful for people to really enjoy and have fun training at and feel comfortable there, you know? Awesome, man. And I can't wait because, you know, as a fan and and someone who's taken your seminars, I'd love to come by and train with you from time to time. So when I heard that you're moving, I'm like, oh shit, awesome, man. This is gonna be perfect. I get to train with like a world-class guy, not too far. And I know you. Like if I walk into Marcelo's, I don't really know anybody there. So it's hard to do that. As someone who's not trying to win world championships, it's hard to go into like those kind of schools and feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I totally understand. I totally see where you're coming from, man. And, I would love for you to come by, man. I'm going to actually hold you to it. You got to come by and visit me, man.
Oh, for sure, dude. 100%.
You have to, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And, we can do this again when you're ready to open up. For sure. I'd love to have you on. Maybe you can announce it here. I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you know what? I like that idea, man.
Let's do it.
I like that idea a lot. Let's do it.
All right, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I had a blast.
I had a great time too, man. Thank you for having me. It's been a long time coming. I know we've been trying to get this going, man. But now I'm back on the East Coast, same time zone and everything. So it's good to be on the show with you, man. Thank you for having me. And thank you for thank you for everything, man. Thank you for all the support and the love, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for what you do for the jiu-jitsu community.
For sure, man. And likewise, thank you for all that you do and all the entertainment you bring from your competitions and the good character and the good martial, what you represent for martial arts. You're a good representative. That's all I'm trying to say. And it's refreshing.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man.
Refreshing. There's a lot of people out there that aren't great representatives, but you're one of them. So we appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, man. All right, dude. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a great day, man, and take care. Thank you.
You too, man. Bye.
Bye-bye.
As always, if you're really interested in this podcast and you want us to continue to do it, please show us your support by going to iTunes and subscribing, by downloading, by giving us good ratings, whether it's on iTunes or any app that you have, whatever. Just try to find a way to give us a 5-star rating and a review, and it goes a long way, trust me. And it helps us get more sponsors, which allows us to, just keep this ball moving. Also, if you have any guests or anybody you'd like to hear of on the podcast, try to get in touch with them and tell them to get in touch with us. info@showtheart.com. If you guys have Facebook, we are posting links to subscribe to our new newsletter. And on that newsletter, we're going to just update everybody with all our new products, all the new podcast episodes, everything that we have in one sourced email, probably once every 3 weeks or every 4 weeks. Also, we will be doing a contest on that. One contest, a month. And we will be giving something away each month, whether it may be a gi, a rash guard, some coffee, anything. It might be a bundle package. It might be one thing. But the only way you can enter those contests is if you're already subscribed to our newsletter. So go check that out. Lastly, go to our website, showtheart.com, for some gear. We got t-shirts and tank tops and hoodies up there. Soon we're going to have rash guards. Just show your support, and, if you like our stuff, purchase it. Boom.